Mate, when it comes to nutrition, you just want to keep it super simple, okay? Simple scales, complex fails. If you've got all these different variables going on at the same time, right? So you've got your training, your nutrition, your rest, your recovery, your journaling, or maybe it's faith for you as well. All these different changes at once. There's a lot of different moving parts, all right? And now the right plan is going to ensure you success in all these different endeavors, okay? So don't lose faith thinking you're overwhelmed, got all these different things going on. This is why we keep it simple and very methodical and very trackable. Therefore, it's scalable. You can be accountable to the small details of it, okay? So my approach to nutrition has been keep it simple. What are the foods that you love to eat? Then just spend some time jumping in MyFitnessPal, make some recipes or Google some recipes. Go and do a little bit of homework yourself, guys, and understand what's in the foods that you love to eat. Maybe you love burritos, man. Maybe you love tacos. Maybe you love pasta. Okay, so find out what the ingredients are in that instead of just buying it from the shop and just guesstimating, okay? Guesswork is the language of losers. Get specific, it's the language of winners. If you ain't tracking, you're slacking. If you're not like looking for solutions, man, you're looking for excuses, okay? So here's what you need to do, right? Once you've got your calories, your proteins, carbs, and fats, then go and have a look at how you can break those meals down throughout the day. We've got our pre-workout meal, the first meal of the day, our post-workout meal. Then we've got a couple more meals scattered, like lunch, dinner, snacks, other things like that. It's depending on, what your meal timing is and how you can structure your day. The most important thing is you're hitting those calories, proteins, carbs, and fats. The overall requirement is what's the most important here, guys. In terms of efficiency, that's when the meal timing comes in, where you don't want to have so much fats before you start training or right after you have training. You want to have more of your carbs and a little bit more protein afterwards. So there's different meal timing, separate video on that one there, but I just want to get an overall message to you saying keep it simple. Okay, practically what that looks like. Say, for example, you do like those burritos. Man, I absolutely love burritos. I love nachos, but if I go to the shops, it's all greasy and I don't know what meat they're using. Likely because of all the grease in it, they've probably got the higher fat percentage, which 15% beef mince, you look at that and it compares to the 5% beef mince. So 5% fat in the beef mince, and you're like, bro, that's 10% of a difference. We have the same weight of food, but you got so much more protein in the 5% fat mince compared to the extra normal, the normal fatty mince, bro. And that's where you're making this mistake in that calorie warfare, which is a numbers game, is that's where you get caught up and you think you're having not a very big portion, but it's the content of that portion that actually makes the whole difference between you achieving success in this module of success or not. So if you ain't tracking, you're slacking. So what you need to do, just hit up a basic list of ingredients of what is proteins, what is carbs, what is fats, and all the most unprocessed ones you can have, like your meat, fruit, veggies, and have a look at your pastas and breads and that kind of stuff. And then have a look at the foods that you normally like to enjoy. Have a look at the back of the packet. What's the nutritional breakdown on there? And you start looking at these numbers, and then that's how you're at the shops and you're on the fly and you're like, oh, so this whatever box has X amount of protein, X amount of carbs, X amount of fats, compared to this one here, it said it was high protein, but it's also really high in sugar. Oh, so I'm not gonna make the trade-off there to get the extra calories just for the perceived extra protein in there. I'm actually looking at this and saying, well, it's a lot less sugar in here and less protein, but it's not marketed as a high protein product. It's just better for me because I'm not having all those extra calories there. And that's how you make the adaptations in your shopping decisions to actually buy the right ingredients for your foods, guys. But when you're in this transformation stage, eat the foods that you love eat the foods that you love, okay? Spend some time putting in the recipes into MyFitnessPal that you love. I'll put some basic recipes on my site. I'll send you a list of just recommended foods of what proteins, carbs, and fat are, just some basic ingredients, guys, which you can honestly jump on the internet and just research what that is. It's very, very simple. But what you want to do, man, once you've got that information, is just to start applying yourself. Don't overcomplicate this. Find the meals that you love, make that adaptation into the new healthier style, which has the less fat, that hits your proteins, carbs, and your fat and the calorie goal, and then eat it, man. It's really that simple. And that's how you stay in shape 24/7, 365. You eat the same foods on the way down into the deficit, where you're in the fat loss transformation stage, eating just less of the food. That way you still have your meals with your family, with your friends. You don't miss out. You can have your cake and eat it too, man. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made in order for you to hit those calorie targets. But then if you're enjoying the foods that you love, it's not as a bad thing, man. You just have to eat a little bit less than that and understand the timing of when you're supposed to be eating it can be beneficial or detrimental to you. Beneficial or not as beneficial to you because you're eating the right foods, okay? When you're in that maintenance phase, you're still eating the same foods you love. When you're in that bulking phase, you're just eating more of it. So really, it's like the sustainable approach. My way of keeping it simple is not to cut out entire food groups. It's not to cut out all the things that you love, guys, because we're in this for life. We're not in this for a 90-day transformation and then go back onto this yo-yo dieting effect after we spent all that time, investing in ourselves, investing in our health, trying to make ourselves a better version of ourselves, to then just be like, oh, wow, I've restricted myself for so long. Now I don't have the willpower, mental capacity anymore. I'm going to go and jump into the ice cream or jump into the donuts or whatever. It's like that. No, it's like, bro, a lot of people have this thing like an 80-20 rule. I say, man, just focus on hitting your protein goal first, focus on hitting the carbs and the fats, and then make the adaptations based upon how you feel. If you feel you need to have a little treat every now and then, bro, just have it. But just make the accommodations in your training and your diet, track it and say, okay, so maybe I had 300 calories worth of donuts today because I just wanted to have the donut. Don't beat yourself up for it, just track it. And then you're gonna have to have a little bit less food somewhere else throughout that day. Or if you have an event coming up, plan in advance. Like say, for example, you're going out to dinner with the missus. It's like, all right, well, I don't want to go to dinner and just sit there and look at her across from the table. So what's the solution in a calorie deficit? Well, the adaptation you make is you eat less food during the day. It's really that simple, guys. You don't need to make it more complicated. If you're a food fanatic and want to see food as more than fuel, then bro, please, by all means, go and make the most complex meal you can. But if we're talking about the most efficient and effective path, just keep it simple. Make some simple staple meals that you can meal prep and roll through. Like maybe you do like three meal preps at once. You can freeze some of them. You got like 3, 4, 5 staple meals. And you can just, for example, for me, bro, I cook up a whole bunch of extra lean mince, maybe every 3 days, every 4 days. And I revolve that with different meals that I make. So for example, like I might make toasted sandwiches or burritos or pasta or nachos or whatever it may be. It's like, there's some staple meals where I know I'm getting in that protein and I can just supplement that already pre-cooked meat with eggs or with salad or with pasta, like, my carbs or my fats, whatever it may be. And that's how I really am able to live in that constant state of being 24/7, 365, jacked, strong, shredded, full of belief, because I just am a student of the game and I'm not trying to go off and make it super crazy complicated. So you keep it simple and it scales, it's sustainable. And like I said, man, if you're a food guy, that's awesome, man. Please share me your recipes, because the more guys that we can get in here that don't just treat food as fuel, the better. But basically what you want to do, man, just track the ingredients. Spend that little bit of extra time. If you love making it all super complicated, dude, that's awesome. Like, do it. I'm thankful I've got a partner who absolutely loves cooking, but the thing is, man, if I was not tracking the small details in that, well, I'm gonna have a little bit of fluff around the edges, all right? Because there's gonna be ingredients that she would throw into this that I wouldn't, because I can't be bothered spending all my time tracking that stuff. Like I said, simple scales. But food is delicious, food's enjoyable. You should enjoy your food. We just have to increase we have to make better our relationship with food, right? It's like food, for a lot of people, has such a control over their life, whether they're not even on a fat loss transformation stage or wherever they're at. It's like that's kind of like the first thing that they can go to find an escape for life, or to make an excuse of why they can't be in shape or whatever it is. But in reality, once you take responsibility for your life and you say, no, like, I'm in control now and the food doesn't control me, I'm gonna do the most strong thing I can do and control my fork and be responsible for myself, then man, it's a wrap, bro. It's like, it's just food. It's nothing more than fuel. And you just keep it really simple, and you don't have to really think about it so much if you're always cooking the same meals over and over. When you're making your relationship better with food, it looks like this. You've gotten to a point where your body is now not eating out of feelings, and instead it's eating out of purpose. So for example, you're in a fat loss transformation stage, you're getting lean, you're understanding that you can survive off a bit less sleep if you need to. You can survive off less food, and you can build muscle in that endeavor as well. And you're feeling good about yourself. And you're able to have more time like processing things. You got the right energy because you're eating the right balance of like proteins, carbs, fats, calories, your fruit and veg. Like, you're eating balance, man. You're eating the right foods. You're not just eating like just trying to cut out entire food group and stuff. It's just not sustainable. When you go with that approach of keeping it simple, and then you come back out into the maintenance phase, or you go into a bulking phase, your relationship with food totally changes, because you understand that you actually don't need as much food as you think you do. And if you're in that maintenance phase, man, say for example, you've gone down, let's say hypothetically speaking, your calorie deficit was at 2,500, and then we get you back to maintenance calories once you've done that transformation and you're at 3,200. Let's just hypothetically say that. Well, now you're at 3,200 calories, and you can be like, all right, well, I've had that experience of tracking all the small little details in my food. I've weighed it for so long. I know that this much steak on a plate that thick roughly equates to about 350, 400 calories, because I have the experience of weighing my food day in, day out. Then when you're in that maintenance phase, guys, where you're going back up to the weight that you should be at, for that body fat that you're at, where you feel good, where you just want to keep where you are and sustain that for life, that's when you have more time at the restaurants. That's when you have more time eating out. That's when you don't have to be on a slave to the scales all the time, man. But if you didn't have that experience of what things look like, you can't really eyeball that. So that's why I said guesswork is a language of losers. And really, if you want to maintain that body fat percentage once you've gone through these transformation stages, guys, then yeah, you're going to actually have to use the scales and be specific. But that's up to you. Okay, not everyone wants to look as diced, shredded 24/7, 365. Maybe they just want to look lean, and that's okay. If you want to look lean, be like, 10, 12% body fat year round, man, you can totally like eat to your intuition. The problem with most people is they don't know what their intuition is, because they've been led by their feelings and comfort and complacency almost their entire life with food, and haven't been eating the right foods. They've been eating unhealthy foods. But once you've gone on that transformation stage and now you're back to that maintenance stage, you have a better relationship with food if you haven't crashed your diet, if you haven't restricted yourself. That's the whole point, where we need to do this the right way, not the fast way that provides a quick instant fix of losing weight and muscle. So losing fat and muscle, you're crashing your diet and you're depriving yourself way too much than you need to. No, we do a slow, conservative approach that is sustainable. It's not leaving you thinking about food 24/7, putting you in bondage. No, we do it the right way, and then that way you're building the intuition with the food. So when you come back to that maintenance phase, you're like, I know my body needs this much food. I know it needs about 3,200 calories a day. What's that break down to then? You're like, okay, so I need about 250 grams of protein. Maybe that's around 1,000 calories. After that, you're like, okay, I can really eat whatever carbs I want, whatever fat that I want. And when you get into that intuition eating stage, man, you're basically eating to a point where your stomach feels full or a little bit shy of full. That's it. That's the maintenance. You had to just get the fat off first. That's how easy it is to sustain, guys. There's been periods of my training and stuff like that where I've just wanted to be in a maintenance phase. Maybe like fitness hasn't been my number one priority, or like just maintaining where I'm at because I'm happy and cool with my body type and where I'm at with training, and I'm progressing still in the lifting. I'm looking good. I feel good. And maybe I've gone on holiday or something like that. I'm like, I'm just going to chill for like a couple of weeks. And because I know how to clean it up, because I go into a calorie deficit. It's really that simple. You gain that clarity and the intuition on how to eat after you've gone through the diligent tracking, man. So that's what I'd suggest. I'd suggest keeping it super simple for now. Keep those simple ingredients. Make a couple meals out of simple ingredients just so you can get the hang of tracking and not making 10 extra steps because you want to put in all these different little things and make it really complicated, man. Don't make it you want to keep it as simple as possible. That's why we have the training with the exact reps and sets every single day. It's why we have the exact prompts, to write in the journal. So we have the exact goals. It's really specific, very methodical, very repeatable, very scalable. When it's really simple, man, and not very complex, you can look at all the small little variables that equate to your success or not. When you keep it simple, you can find out where the break in the chain was, and you can be like, oh, so it was this variable that led me to do this output or get me this result. For example, you're like, okay, I had ice cream on Monday night. Now I'm heavier on Tuesday morning when I shouldn't have had the ice cream Monday night. It's literally as simple as that. And then if you want to make the adaptation to that to still hit your goals, well, you're going to have less food on Tuesday, or you're going to have to lower your calories for the entire week until you've made up for that. Because we're not just going to give you a handout and say, hey man, here's your macros. I want you on an indefinite cycle of, it's fine, we've made a mistake yesterday, now you don't have to pay for it tomorrow. No, we're making the accountability right now, and we say, I've made a mistake, now I have to eat less food. And then you learn from that lesson of pain to say, well, I don't want to eat less food anymore, so I'm not going to make that mistake. It's the same way with that training, man. If you sleep in, you don't get to train that day. That's what I would recommend, is you set these limits on yourself as a consequence to be like, no, I get up early for my people, for my loved ones, for my purpose, for my vision. And I get up at this time every single day to ensure that I make the right character building steps in myself so I can be that leader for them. If I miss in this area, I don't get to make up with it in these other times of the day where I should be spending time at work or with my family. No, I have to be selfish and look after myself first thing here so that I can be the best version of myself later in the day. If I don't have that time, I don't get to be the best over here as well. So I better damn make sure I'm in bed at the right time, or I'm up even when I don't get enough sleep, to ensure I can be the best person I can be. It's the same way with the food, man. Don't let it spill over and keep blowing it off. If you keep doing that and not having the accountability and responsibility for today's mistakes and take that right now, then what happens is you just keep being on this diet for such a long time, and then eventually your willpower just wears out. And you're like, damn, I joined up for this program. I was supposed to get ripped, but I never said to myself, I'm gonna be accountable for my mistakes. I'm gonna keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, it doesn't work like that, man. It just doesn't. You gotta be like, not beat yourself up, just accept you made a mistake. But then, like I said in the journaling, man, why did I do that? Maybe there was an old thought pattern that you were like, maybe you had a fight with someone you care about, or maybe there was some stressful event at work, and you were like, oh, well, I needed food to comfort me. Why do I need food to comfort me? Because something is lacking inside, bro. You need to find out what that is. What's the void you're trying to fill? What are you avoiding dealing with that you need to mask it with the pleasure of food or with instant gratification? That's the whole point, man. We're always stripping away the fat in the first place for that transformation that's mental, physical, and spiritual. You got to find out what that void is and stop masking with these other things like food. Nutrition mentality, guys, is as simple as this. Keep it simple. Be accountable for when you mess up. Make the adjustments. If you're over your calories, 500 calories more than you said you were supposed to do on this day, well then for the next 5 days, drop 100 calories. Or you go 500 calories less the next day and just deal with it, get it done with, and then the rest of the week is exactly how it was supposed to be. And the thing is, guys, once you go and you start restricting food and you start eating your body wants you to eat the high protein. Your body wants you to have the fruits, the vegetables. Your body doesn't want you to be having all this sugar and this processed fat and the stuff that's going to keep you unhealthy. Your body actually wants to be lean. Your body actually wants to be moving in an efficient way with more muscle. Your body actually wants to perform. Your body wants you to be an athlete, man. It's naturally in this shape. We weren't born fat, bro. It was our habits and our decisions repeated over and over again that led us to be in this state where we were unhealthy. We want to get out of that, okay? When you have made up your mind to commit to a fat loss transformation, man, see it all the way through. Give it 100% in the smallest of details, and you'll build this awareness that just rides across the board. It's like you're aware of how you treat yourself, you're aware of how you talk to yourself, you're aware of where the strongholds are in your mind, and you start to break down why you do things. And then that same kind of mentality looks at your relationships, looks at your career, looks at every other aspect of life. It's like you're building this repetitional, this habit and value of what you're doing matters, because it gets a physical result that you can see. But then when you can take that earned ability of learning what you do matters and what the small things value and the small things add up, you can look at all the other decision-making processes you make in your life as well and be like, oh, I react like this when someone says that. Why? Journal that, reflect upon that. The nutritional mentality that I have, or it's keeping it simple, where it's reflecting and analyzing when you make a mistake, is so that you can apply it across the board in every other aspect of your life. That's why training is simple. It's just beat your last session in a progressive state with the right exercises, the right amount of reps and sets. Like, train intensely, track like someone who wants their results. Why the methodology works is because it is so simple. Like I've said in many other videos, guys, what's complicated is what's in here and what's in here, and the sin that people partake in that prevent them from following through on their path until they get their result. This isn't an instant change. It's not a quick fix. It is a long-term solution. Okay? Eat the food that you love, but just track it. And if you feel like you're getting too far off the path, which your body will tell you, because you'll look in the mirror, you'll be like, well, I didn't eat the right macros, now I look a bit fluffier, then you have the tools and the skills now with the macros to be able to cut that stuff out. And the thing is, man, when you've gone through these transformation stages and you start restricting the calories, like I said, your body will want to eat the good foods for you, because you're going to be filled up for longer with more protein. You're going to be filled up for longer with the right amount of fats and carbs. You're going to have the better training performance with the right amount of carbs and the right amount of meal timing and that kind of stuff like that. And so when you get back to that maintenance phase where you're not restricted because you were eating the foods that you love to eat on the way down as well, when you get back to maintenance, you're not going to blow out and get fat again. You're not going to go off that path and go back to those old habits, because one, you weren't restricted, but two, your body, you now have that relationship with food where you know what your body needs to perform and how you feel. And that's when you can be like, oh, I'm going to change a little bit. Maybe I'll dip a tiny bit, like 5% or 10% of the protein, and instead increase the carbs another 5% and the fats another 2%. You know, you have a play around with the numbers, man. But if you've never gone through that transformation stage to learn what things look like, to learn how your body reacts, to track how you feel every single day, to journal, to reflect, to take accountability, take responsibility. And when you get back to these stages there, man, if you've had a coach do all that stuff for you with a meal plan and everything like that, you've never learned the skills. You just only know the food. What happens if that gets taken away from you? If you need to eat some other food at the event or something like that, you have no idea. That's why it's all about the macros. That's why you need to go do some diligence in your own sense, in your own time, and be like, I want to find out what this food has in it, and I'm going to apply the scales. I'm going to track things. I'm going to see what my body weight does with this, and then you bring that into the rest of your life with all the other different meals too, man. That's how you do it. It's as simple as that. And I know I said it's as simple as that in like a 20-ish minute video, but once you understand this concept, man, I mean, look, every single day you can walk around and you can be lean, ripped, full of belief. The nutrition is such an open door for the rest of your life. Yes, there's a different time and place for things like keto or carnivore or whatever it may be, man. Look, time and place is called meal timing, like throughout the day. Eat balanced, man. Eat balanced. Like, go and look at your basic food groups. Go and look at your recommended guidelines. Every single one of them, that is like, it all says to eat balanced. And when you eat in that balanced way, you're gonna feel like healthy, man. It's all gonna be the unprocessed stuff. It's gonna be the things that God has made for you on this earth to enjoy. You don't need to go overly restrictive, man, where you're just eating one food group. It's not the right fix. You're gonna be crashing. You're gonna be wanting to just like, you're gonna be craving all the time. I want you to be thinking about the character that you're developing. I don't want you to be thinking about the food. I want you to be, when you're hungry, man, increasing that self-talk, thinking positively, not thinking like, oh, I don't want to go through this anymore. I'm losing so much. I'm thinking about the food all the time. I can't wait to just finish this fat loss transformation so I can just start eating all the food I want again. It's like, poor me, poor me, poor me. All me, me, me. How about you start thinking about your impact on other people as well? How about you start thinking about your long-term health? How about you start thinking about how good it feels to be full of belief, to look in the mirror and be jacked, to be ripped, to be like, knowing in your eyes that like no matter what you do, like when you look back at that reflection in the morning, you're proud of yourself and you're like, I'm going to achieve whatever mission I set my heart and my mind to. I'm going to be able to follow on that purpose in my life and that vision. I'm going to execute it because I can control all the variables in my equation for success, not led by my feelings. This is where you master that, man, is in these transformations. You're not led by the food and by a slave to desire anymore, man. You're led by your goals. You're led by your purpose. You're led by your vision. You're led by your why. All right, man, that's what we need to learn in this module. Simple scales, man, complex fails. Keep it simple. And if you're not going to keep it simple, well, make sure you succeed. Make sure you track. Because if you ain't tracking, you're slacking, bro. And we're no slackers on this program, and we're all a bunch of winners, and we're all gonna win together, bro. And yeah, just keep going, man. Keep going. See you in the next video, all right?